Because the Centre versus Twitter fight has now taken a new turn, with the Centre giving the social media micro-blogging website one last chance to comply with the norms, which include, in fact, a compliance officer and a grievance officer being appointed here in India as per the rules and as other social media giants have already done, failing which they would take action as per the IT Act.
All I can say is the government has certain rules which apply to everyone. We expect all these social media platforms to comply with that. And I am not privy to the ongoing discussions between the social media platforms and service providers and the government.
The reality is that the Modi government has made this an ego issue, and it is not going to be able to resolve this matter. So while yes, any social media platform has to conform to the laws of the land, the reality also is intimidating them and also being done with an intention to curb free speech is what this entire thing is all about.
You're watching the News Hour Special Edition, Debate Number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest. Joining us live, we have with us Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the BJP, Abhishek Asthana, founder of Gingermonkey, joining us live. Also, we have Shehzad Poonawalla, lawyer. Ghanshyam Tiwari, national spokesperson, is also with us from the Samajwadi Party. Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader, also with us. And Rahul Narayan, advocate on record, is joining us. He's an advocate in the Supreme Court as well. Let me begin with Ghanshyam Tiwari. Ghanshyam Tiwari, the question here is this. It can be nobody's argument that those who are accused of either harassing online or charges such as sexual harassment, trolling, whatever it may be, abuse online, that action should not be taken on these individuals. Now, if the idea behind forming this kind of a structure of compliance is for all social media giants and others have all accepted it, what makes Twitter special in this case?
Well, nothing and no agency is special. Every such social media platform or organization is business first. They are here to run their business. So as a result, no one has to be extra sympathetic. These are not torch bearers of freedom of expression or democracy. We have a strong constitution and we are a powerful democracy, so we don't look up to these platforms to become our torch bearers. That said, the fragile ego of this government and its continuous effort to build its propaganda on every platform and muzzle the voice is visible even on social media. This whole saga erupted after the toolkit accusation, which was apparently false, and after Sambit Patra's tweet was marked manipulated media. Now, if you look at last 5 years, there's not a single year where Sambit Patra has not been called out, or several other BJP leaders have not been called out for propagating fake news. In fact, the BJP past national president and the current Home Minister has bragged openly that they have the muscle power to build these 50 lakh people group and circulate news that can anger people or humor people. They have been accused of running organizations.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, we can debate that, and I'm going to put that question to BJP as well. But before I go across to Sanju Verma, I just want to ask you a simple thing. That yes, okay, that there may be a political controversy. You may have a different view on the toolkit that has been shared by Sambit Patra. But can it be argued that the government, by going ahead and building some kind of a regulatory atmosphere as far as grievance redressal is concerned, today we don't know how a blue tick is removed and it is added on. We don't know how there is a manipulated media tag added or removed. We don't know how all of these actions are taken by the social media giant, because even now the compliance and the letter of the government says that they've given the address of the lawyers as Twitter's address here in India, and none of those who have been employed are even employees of Twitter who have been appointed as grievance officers. So this is a very, very serious issue which is being raised here by the government over and above the political squabbling. Don't you think that parties should come together on this aspect?
Madhav, with Bharatiya Janata Party at center, they never have an agenda of bringing everybody together, whether it was a nation under the crisis of pandemic or any time before. I think their politics is very sharp and built on their false bravado. So there is no agenda of bringing everybody together. That's the government that is in power. And second, we talk about we don't know how the blue tick was added or manipulated media is added. We have a central government. We did not elect Twitter. We elected a government. It's a democracy. This government doesn't tell us how our institutions operate, how major decisions such as demonetization are taken, or how the
Can I please come in? You've given him enough time.
When you have a government which is by itself undemocratic, parliamentary committees are not running. Do we hold the?
I mean, I'm amazed you're giving so
social
much
media
time to
platforms?
this man for a
Or-
monologue.
Look at the
All right.
the spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party. The
Yes,
moment you
I will
allow
not
somebody
allow you to
speak,
engage
Okay.
in a
they become the
monologue.
boss of the platform.
One at a
This is
time.
a
One at a
debate.
time. Let's not have a side debate,
you.
please. Let's not have a side
Excuse me,
debate.
this is a debate.
Let's not have. One
Not a
second.
monologue.
One second. Both of you, please calm down. I don't want any personal bickering, please. Let us not waste time on that. This is much too important an issue. Sanju Verma, questions are being asked over here about whether it is. This is what Ghanshyam Tiwari is saying. He is asking whether this is some kind of action being taken as far as the manipulated media episode that we saw and the tagging that was done by Twitter. Is the government now taking it out on Twitter? Is a question that Ghanshyam Tiwari is posing. Please respond to that.
Madhav, first and foremost, let me tell you very categorically that the new rules, came into effect on the 26th of May 2021 in pursuance of what is already there in the IT Act of 2000. What the government is simply telling social media intermediaries like Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, what have you, is that you have to have 3 people employed in India and give us the necessary details. A chief compliance officer, a resident officer, and a grievance officer. And as you rightly pointed out, Twitter has not made adequate disclosures in terms of addressing some of the clarifications that the government wanted via a letter that was issued on the 27th of May 2021. Today, the government has again given Twitter another chance to come clean. Tell me one thing, Madhav. If I, as an Indian, want to set up a company in the United States, or if you want to do it, you will have to abide by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission rules of the United States of America that came into existence in 1934. Now, if I have to set up a company in Japan, I have to abide by the Japanese surveillance norms. If I have to set up a company in the UK, I have to abide by the FRC norms in the UK. So my limited point is this. Twitter cannot be a kingdom unto itself. Twitter is not about the law of the land in India. Twitter is simply a business entity, Madhav. In February 2013, Twitter Communications Private Limited, which is Twitter India in layman's language, registered itself with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now tell me, can any Indian company or overseas entity which is based as an arm in India, can it defy the Indian law? If you're registered with the MCA, what does it mean?
Okay.
You have to pay taxes in India. You have to abide by the Indian Constitution. You have to abide by the Indian rule book. Why should special treatment be given to Twitter? And more importantly, this whole narrative about free speech. What does our Constitution, I'll give 30 seconds, Madhav. What does the Constitution say, Article 19 on free speech? It clearly says no right, even if it is fundamental, is absolute. Every right is subject to reasonable restrictions pertaining to public order, morality and health. If you and me, who are bona fide Indian citizens, have reasonable restrictions under which we need to function, then who exactly is Twitter?
Okay.
It monetizes huge revenues from India. It does not tell us how.
All right, I think you've made that point. Let me take that question across to Sanjay Jha now. I think that's a point that you've made. Sanjay Jha, if an Indian company has to go abroad, they will have to comply with the laws of the land in United States, UK, wherever this Indian technology company or otherwise wants to set up shop. Why should that not apply to Twitter? Particularly given that it is the Delhi High Court on the 31st of May that has issued notice to the micro-blogging platform for its lack of compliance with the new IT rules.
Well, Madhav, a very valid question. I totally agree that there is a law of the land, no matter whether the government is a democracy or a dictatorship or a military junta rule. The fact remains that if you work and you have a business operation, you need to follow it. That is frankly undeniable. The other reality is, I think I heard somebody ask, who is Twitter? Well, it just so happens to be a platform that a lot of presidents and prime ministers work on it. And it is valued at $45 billion. So I think that's a rather juvenile question. The more fundamental issue here. Today, I don't know how many of your viewers are aware, but I need to enlighten them by telling them that a cartoonist going by the name of Manjul Jain, who comes up with some very, sarcastic, sardonic, and witty ones, has been given a notice by Twitter because the Twitter has been told by the government of India that the cartoonist is offending the government by the cartoons he's bringing up to express a point of view. This is enough evidence of what kind of a democracy have we become. Let's be honest. We are all mature, adult, smart people. Rather, we are one of the better anchors in the business. Let us be honest. Let's bite the bullet. Indian democracy at the moment is a sham. Now, I'll give you another example. I'm very much aware of the BJP toolkit. Please do not interrupt. Please, Madhav, can you ensure that I'm not interrupting?
Sanju, I'll give you a chance to reply. Let him make his point.
Government of the day.
One at a time. Sanju Verma, let everybody have their say. You can respond to him. I'm going to give you a chance to rebut him. I'll give you a chance to rebut him. Let him make his point. Very quickly, Sanjay Jha, please.
Yeah.
Yes, you can rebut him. Please be patient for your turn. I have others on the panel who have not yet spoken. Please calm down, Sanju Verma. Just a minute. Sanjay Jha, quickly make your point, please.
Quickly making a point. The one political party in any democracy in the world, and I'm making this statement with a lot of responsibility, that has probably abused WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter for spreading fake news, hate speeches. And there is a legend, by the way. Please Google fake news and go on Google.
Okay.
To see what the BJP has done to this country. So the question that needs to be asked is rather rich of the BJP to question a platform when it is itself manufacturing toolkits to attack the Congress instead of sorting out the pandemic.
You've made your point. You're raising questions of whether the government is, using a nuclear weapon to kill a fly or a mosquito. That's a question that is being asked, whether the government is... Sanju Verma, the question that is being asked in the context of this cartoonist. One second, please calm down. Sanju Verma, please calm down. We can have a civilized debate on this. There is no need to shout. Simple question coming from Sanjay Jha's side is whether the action that is being seen on this cartoonist leads to fears about whether the new provisions would give the government extensive powers which could be misused to curb free speech. That's the question he's asking. Please respond to that.
Madhav, let me first make one thing very clear. The narrative should Twitter not follow India's rule book? Instead, what we are debating is, should Twitter be asked to address Indian government's clarification?
Father, she's telling you what you should do.
Indian government seems to be...
This is exactly the dictatorship we have become.
I'm
telling you what you should discuss tonight.
We started the debate with that. There are questions being asked from both sides. Sanju Verma, please address the questions.
For voicing an opinion. So you are the last person who should talk about how grand Congress is when it comes to freedom of speech. I will answer your question, Madhav. Madhav, I want to say one thing to you. We are all aware that on January 6, 2021, there was an insurrection in the United States of America, after which Donald Trump, the sitting president, was deplatformed by Twitter. Now look at the hypocrisy of Twitter. When we had an insurrection kind of an episode on the 26th of January 2021 in India, the same Twitter was actually encouraging hashtags which said, Modi commits genocide of farmers. And people on your panel like Ghanshyam, Sanjay Jha were quiet then, which means Twitter has different rules for different countries. Insurrection America mein hota hai, so we will deplatform Donald Trump. Insurrection India mein hota hai, so we will deplatform the victim. Who's the victim in this case? The victim in this case that day was India's democracy. The tractor was being used as a weapon. Instead of standing up to bullies who wanted to weaponize the tractor, these people were actually...
There's examples on both sides. Sanjay Jha. You can't just use one example of a Manjul. There are several examples of social media platforms being misused by this side, those who are opposed to the government's point of view as well. That's a question that is being raised here by Sanju Verma. Quick response from you, then I go across to Shahzad. 30 seconds.
I think let us not be clever by half here. What she hasn't told you is that Twitter said that we will not allow the posts of politicians, journalists, media companies, and activists to be removed. Because that is what a democracy is all about, madam.
Exactly is Twitter. I was asked to remove a post on
Get off it. Why are you on Twitter? Get off it. निकल जाइए. पूरे बीजेपी को लेके निकल जाइए.
On the lynching of
मैडम आप आज ही निकल जाइए Twitter से. आज ही निकल जाइए. तुरंत ही.
Lynching of sadhus is not to be discussed on social media. Why should Twitter tell me that a rape...
Madam, why don't you quit Twitter today?
Media platform.
Nobody is going to miss you.
Twitter to tell me that a rape in a temple can be discussed.
All right. Sanju Verma and Sanjay Jha, please let me bring in other panelists now. we have limited time on the show. I want to bring in Shehzad Poonawalla now. Shehzad Poonawalla, you know, this is a question that is being raised here by Sanjay Jha. He says there's a possibility that Twitter and these new rules or the new framework could be misused to dissent, you know, stifle dissent or opinion. How do you respond to this charge that is being made by Sanjay Jha? Shehzad.
Madhav, as a journalist who has broken the story today, you broke the story with Megha Prasad, and as somebody who has been following both the legal cases and the entire Twitter and Facebook social media controversy, you know better than most people that first of all, these same guidelines were also asked for by the Congress party in the standing committee, the ad hoc committee, which was chaired by Jairam Ramesh. In fact, Mr. Gaurav Gogoi in his article in 2020 asked for this kind of accountability and endorsed it. And the Congress party should be the last one. Sanjay, my dear friend, knows the Congress party's view on free speech. He's a booked bogey like me. And in fact, we know about emergency and 66 days. So let's leave that aside. But let's come to the issue. Today, Madhav, this is not an issue of free speech. Madhav, as you were saying since morning, and I was listening to your live, this is an issue of accountability. If social media platform wants to be a social media platform under Section 79, please be our guest and enjoy the exemption from liability. But when you become an editor, when you become an anchor like Madhav, and you take calls subjectively, then you have to have the same accountability standards that Madhav has, that editor has, that Times Now has. That is all that is being said by the government of India. And the government of India has not stifled anybody's free speech. In fact, Manju's case is a counter argument that Sanjay is making. Look, Twitter is so biased that for Manju it issues a notice. But when it comes to deplatforming or de-recognizing the Vice President of India, it does it without notice. It does it arbitrarily. It deplatforms Kangana Ranaut. I'm not defending Kangana Ranaut. But when it comes to Sharjeel Usmani, they don't delete the account. They just delete the tweet. Mohammed Matayeb, they just delete the tweet. So you can see the glaring double standards of Twitter. And what is Madhav Gopala, today Madhav, what did you say? You said that if Singapore government asked, you remove Singapore variant. When Indian government asked that,
yes,
that
was my question.
You don't wait. You go to American Congress, but you don't come to Indian Parliament. Why are you having double standards? Are
there different strokes for different folks? That's a very pertinent question indeed. And let me take that question across to Rahul Narayan. Yes, Shehzad, I think you've hit upon a very, very important point. I want to take this question to Rahul Narayan, Supreme Court advocate who's joining us. Rahul Narayan, we saw what happened a few weeks ago when there was this controversy over the quote-unquote use of the term Indian variant or Singapore variant rather in Singapore, and the action that was taken by the government. Then Twitter complied, social media platforms complied, removed that particular variant and all those terms and references from the website. We saw how in US it has been, accountable to the various houses over there. We have seen yesterday action being taken in Nigeria when Twitter took certain actions as well. So there appear to be different sets of rules under which Twitter, actually functions in different geographies. And this is borne out by all of these facts that I've just stated. And it appears that wherever Twitter feels it can get away with a lighter punishment or maybe a rap on the knuckles and not any kind of legal action, it chooses to push the boundaries and limits that, within which it operates.
I don't think that's a completely correct way to look at things. I mean, if you look at it like this, that in each country in which they operate, they try to comply with that law. In India, for example, they should comply with the intermediary guidelines, but they have chosen apparently not to do so, which is obviously a bad thing. No one can defend that. But please also see that if they don't want to comply with the guidelines, they should of course file a case, and until a stay can be granted, they have to comply with the guidelines. But that said, look at what they have done. They have, if the issue was the appointment of a grievance officer, they have appointed someone who is not their employee. I would say, as a lawyer, that seems to me to be fairly substantial compliance. Now the question arises, what should the government of India do in this case? Should they act like Nigeria, or should they act like China, or should they act like the United States of America? As you correctly said, the United States has a Section 230 of their law in particular, which contains their intermediary liability. And the fact is, of course, they have these various hearings to which Twitter attends, and they should attend any hearings in India as well. But the simple fact of the matter is that, grown-up countries, they wear big boy pants and see what should be done, what should not be done. So I think it's whether we should act like Nigeria or whether we should act like
what my problem is? Rahul, my problem with that is, one second, Rahul, I have one small problem with that. You can either say that as a government, you don't have the law, there is a grey area, there is a vacuum, and therefore we are not complying. Now there is a law over here, it is not being challenged. 3 months ago, if you had a problem with the law, you could have approached the court. Why are they not taking legal action? Why are they not challenging it? Doesn't that appear to be a deliberate attempt at disobeying or not following that law?
look, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. They should obviously follow the law as to the extent possible. But what I'm trying to say is that what they have done so far is not the end of the world. If you look at what the purpose of the law is, to ensure that Indians have somebody in India who they can complain to, and they do have that person. Whether it's an employee or not an employee, I don't think that's
sorry, I need to put this right.
But what's the legal accountability of that person? What's the legal accountability of that person? Abhishek Asthana is with us, founder of Ginger Monkey. Abhishek Asthana, is it enough if there is a person who is not an employee of that company and the address given is of the lawyer? What kind of accountability can be sought from such an individual? This is also what the government has pointed out in its letter today. How do you respond to Rahul Narayan?
Yes, so good evening for having me, first of all. And already a lot of valid points have been made. I'll just give a brief background. I've been on Twitter for the last 10 years, accumulated over like 1 million followers, but no blue tick yet. And to that question specifically, what I'll do is I'll try to share a personal experience of mine just to show that how unempowered are Twitter employees in India. Back in 2019, my account got suspended. And like how Twitter support emails you, they sent me an email with a pretty vague reasoning. So I tried to follow up on that email, but I got no reply. So what I did was I tried to reach out to Twitter India employees if they can help me. And after a day, maybe they told me their hands are tied because everything, be it suspension, be it termination, or be it any blue tick removal is handled directly by the headquarters in San Francisco. And I'll have to follow up with them and their hands are tied. I couldn't do anything with them. So I had to you know what the difficulty with Twitter support is? I mean, it's easier to book a vaccine slot on COVID than to get a reply from Twitter support. So that's how difficult it is. And the larger scope, I think the scope of the debate is pretty much why Twitter is not following Indian laws. I mean, freedom of speech can't be a bait and to beat and saying that it's a retribution thing that Twitter is doing by not following IT laws because its freedom of speech is being suppressed on its platform. So I guess the scope is pretty narrow here. And to say that, it's peers. If you look at WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and even Clubhouse now, they have put out a public statement saying they'll be following IT laws. So I don't think so why this empty posturing by Twitter is going to help them. And they're a publicly listed company anyway. I mean, their core motivation should be to uphold shareholder value. And why would they actually basically cut away a portion of their business by doing that, right? So that's my point here. Yeah.
May I, Madhav?
Okay, Sanju Verma wants to respond to Rahul. Yes, Sanju Verma. Yeah, I'm going to come across to you as well, Ghanshyam and Sanjay. Just let Sanju respond very quickly. Yes.
Madhav, the earlier two panelists made a point. One of them said that, as long as there's a resident officer or a compliance or a nodal officer or a grievance officer, even if he or she is not an employee of Twitter, how does it matter? It does matter. Point number one. Point number two, I want to make one thing very clear, Madhav. The fact is, what exactly is the government saying? It is saying we simply want some information from social media and intermediaries to empower the common man so that they are not victims of sexual harassment, mocked images, defamation for no rhyme or reason. So, in fact, by asking Twitter and other social media intermediaries to comply with norms, the government is trying to empower common citizens like you and me. This debate is not about freedom of speech. This debate is not about freedom of expression. This debate is an American company which has a subsidiary based in India, registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which is trying to teach the Indian government the rule book. And I'm sorry, Twitter cannot be a kingdom unto itself. Tell me, Madhav, do you know what exactly Twitter does to ensure somebody gets a blue tick and somebody does not? Who are the transparency fact checkers at Twitter? They decided to remove the blue tick for a few hours of Venkaiah Naidu. Now exactly tell me they still have a blue tick for Ahmed Patel, the deceased Congress leader who passed away a few months back. These are the same people who will de-platform Kangana Ranaut for talking about Bengal violence. But
let me take that question to Ghanshyam Tiwari. Ghanshyam Tiwari, if there is a social media platform as a tech platform, shouldn't we completely above board and unbiased? Isn't there a clear bias in the actions that Twitter is taking against a particular ideology or against a particular set of people? Because today's, removing of the verified ticks, blue ticks of RSS leaders, of the vice president, it appears there is one side only that is being targeted, but there are several other leaders from the other side of the political spectrum whose accounts have been inactive for several months, who have not been acted upon.
Well, I think Twitter must send a spokesperson to represent itself. Twitter is a private company. they must present how they decide who should get a blue tick, who is not. But I'm surprised at the juvenile response of Government of India. BJP, supposedly the largest party in the world, plus RSS, the largest cultural organization in the world. Such a juvenile response, a blue tick is gone, and they are all trying. They have endless publications from organizer to whatnot. They want Twitter to be Sudarshan News. That is what their agenda is, and because they can't get it,
We have
and then they have.
told
Please don't. I was
comply with the new
I think
IT
Sanju Verma
rules.
here
What
needs
is
a
so
chief grievance
juvenile
officer for
about
herself.
asking
This is
Indian subsidiary of
absolutely ridiculous that she is able to disrupt every panelist. I think this is absolutely ridiculous that Sanju Verma, you have
Okay, one at a time.
Stupid remarks, Ghanshyam Tiwari.
All right, we have limited time. We have limited time, please. We have limited time. We have limited time. We have limited time. Ghanshyam Tiwari, I don't know if it's fair. One second. Sanju Verma and Ghanshyam Tiwari, let me just come in over here. I don't know if one should really link what took place early in the morning with the afternoon developments. 1 second, Sanju Verma, please, 1 second. I think that is a process that is independent and has been underway. 3 months ago, the notice was issued. It is not because of today's action in the morning that today's letter in the afternoon would have been sent. I think it would be incorrect to connect the two. Let me bring in Shehzad on that point. Shehzad, Ghanshyam's contention that what happened today in the morning to Venkaiah Naidu's account and what happened as far as the RSS leaders' accounts are concerned, that is linked to what the action that has been taken. But I think that would be a little unfair only because this action has been underway. There were notices sent earlier on, I think, the 26th and the 28th of May as well by the Government of India. Shehzad.
Absolutely. And Madhav, when you broke this with Megha Prasad, this story, I remember that paragraph you quoted, and I hope you can read it back to the viewers and to Ghanshyam. You said that for the last 10 years, Twitter has been in operations in India, and as a thriving democracy, Indian people should also get an opportunity to get their grievances redressed. And with Twitter, despite having flourished in India, is not doing that for the Indian people. That is the argument that is made. And we are comparing India with Nigeria. Some lawyer has also said India has taken no action. India has in fact given them a last chance, even though the IT Section 79 exemption runs out directly. So you see, India has not taken any action like banning anybody or anything of that sort. It has taken a well-measured rule of law measure that if you have not complied with the guidelines, then you automatically fail to get the protection of IT Act Section 79. Why are you comparing India with countries like North Korea and China unnecessarily just to make a political point against one political party? That's not fair, Ghanshyam. Please understand, even Congress wanted this. Even your party in UK wanted this.
Madhav, I'll just say one thing. BJP has created a freedom of expression hesitancy across the country.
Quickly.
BJP has created a freedom of expression hesitancy across the country, and they don't want any platform that acts against it.
Then how come you are speaking without fear and favor? How come you are speaking on Times now? Times was the #1 channel. How come you are abusing Modi every day on it?
Ghanshyam Tiwari, we are going back to the issue at we are veering off from the issue at hand. I think I just want to come back. I just want to come back on the main point, and I want to ask a question of Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, my question to you is this: if Twitter has been violating with impunity laws, why are we repeatedly giving chances to come in again and again? Again today, you have given Twitter a long rope and given them a chance to respond. If they are violating the law, take action. Period.
Madhav, I just want to say one thing. In the case of BJP, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Had we taken suo moto action, the same bunch today which is giving bhashan on freedom of speech would have said, oh my God, look at the fascist Modi government. They did not even give Twitter a chance to explain itself. We are following the rule book by giving Twitter enough amplitude, enough leeway to first ensure that they get a reasonable timeline to make their case. Now they have been given enough time, enough is enough. We will take the necessary action under Section 79, which means that Twitter henceforth, if it does not comply, will not get immunity from Section 79 of the IT Act of 2000. Henceforth, they will be criminally liable for spurious content that is put out on their platform. Till now, they had immunity from...
Quick response from Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, we are damned if we do, we are damned if we don't. If we had taken direct action against Twitter, tomorrow the opposition parties would have been at the BJP's neck saying that, look how coercive the BJP is. Respond to that.
Madhav, this is the height of mendacity on a very popular and respected TV channel. I heard somebody say spurious content. Madam, the famous toolkit which made the Delhi police. Can you please don't interrupt, yeah? Please do not interrupt. The Delhi police landed at the Twitter office on a
let him make his point. Let him make his point. Let him make his point. Let him make his point.
Why
One second,
is she
Sanju Verma,
always
let him make his point. I've asked him a question. Let him respond.
I mean,
Sanju Verma, you yourself posed this question of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let him respond to that question, please.
You, Sanjay Jha.
well, look at this. Just look at this.
You raised a question. You raised a question,
Look at this.
Sanjay Verma. Let him respond to that. Let him respond to that. Sanjay Jha, quickly. Please respond to that.
Yeah, to the viewers of Times Now, if you want to understand what is intolerance of criticism, the BJP spokesperson is a perfect epitome of it. But let me answer. That
Let's just move beyond this, please. This is the fifth or sixth time we are repeating the same charge. Can you please answer the question that she has raised? Sanjay Jha, please answer the question that she has raised. Let's not take pot shots, please. We have very limited time. Otherwise, I'll have to wrap up this debate. Quickly, Sanjay Jha.
Yeah, Madhav, in short, spurious content is really the prerogative of the Bharatiya Janata Party. The entire controversy has started because the BJP got exposed trying to malign the Congress Party on a toolkit they created to create communal divisions in the country during the time of the pandemic. It's a shame on the BJP. They need to apologize not just to the Congress, but to the people of India.
Okay. It seems that we are only going to be taking pot shots over here. This is the problem. Unfortunately, when it comes to a political discourse, we only end up taking pot shots. The issues that need to be discussed threadbare somehow get lost in the din of the various positions that are taken, the hard positions that are taken by political parties. On that note, I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us. We're going to slip into a very quick break.